Anna Wallmark, producer at Filmlance, Lucy Berg, head of development at TV4 Sweden, Katrine Vogelsang, CEO at Nordisk Film Production, and Zire Schucany, manager series at Netflix Nordics. Welcome. And we share feedback, we share opinions, but we also share mics today. So you know. I'm going to start with a short introduction so we can all hear your voices. So who are you and what do you do? But also, is there one specific theme from Kea's presentation that resonated with you? I'm aware that this could be the whole panel if we do this right now, but let's give it a try, Zire.
Yes, I'll start. My name is Zire, and I'm a manager at the series team at Netflix Nordics. And actually, the first thing she said about feedback and how feedback has a tendency to feel negative.
Yeah.
Feedback is kindness; it's not criticism, and I think that's super important to just tell ourselves and have in mind every time we encounter feedback or we give feedback.
Yeah.
So that really, resonated with me and was a good reminder for myself as well.
We'll definitely get back to that later on. Katrine.
Yes, I'm Katrine Vogelsang, and I'm CEO of Nordisk Film Production. My key takeaway, I've actually studied all she said for many years, and those who knows me as a commissioner from TV2 Denmark would know I'm absolutely not an expert in feedback. So the whole issue is kind of how to transform this great information into everyday reality, and I think that's a major challenge.
And for the people who know us, my day job is VP of International Financing and Coproductions at Nordisk Film Production when I'm not moderating. So yes, I am aware that I'm moderating my boss right now in a panel about feedback. We might we might use that at some point. Let's see. Lucy.
Hi, I'm Lucy and I'm head of development at TV4 in Sweden. I think I had two big takeaways. I also love feedback. I've never heard anyone else say that before, so it was nice hearing someone say
Revelation.
that. Revelation. Yeah. And also the thing, and I'm going to misquote it, but about problems being important. I'm a big believer in adversity being the mother of creativity. And I think when we have people come to us with a script, I don't expect a perfect script, but I do want writers who can solve problems.
Yeah. Anna.
Okay, so I'm Anna Wallmark, and I work as a producer at Filmlance International, a production company, a part of Berg. And I take with me maybe a sort of a future feedback of a way of creative solutions in what we work with.
Interesting. Yeah, definitely. I can also share. I think my main takeaway, I just told my neighbor that as well, is to give yourself more constructive feedback and start practicing that, because I feel like we're always talking about giving feedback to others. But yeah, that was quite an interesting takeaway for me. I want to try to do 3 themes during this panel. One would be about building feedback culture. How do we work and how do we create it? The other one would be about the messy reality that we're in right now, right? And then more about the growth mindset, the how do we use feedback as a leadership tool in this very messy influx market industry. Let's see if we can make that work. You all for it? Fantastic. So let's start with the feedback culture. Anna, I want to stay with you. So as a producer, how do you create psychological safety in production, which is an absolute pressure cooker, right, from start to finish? How do you do that? How do you make sure that everybody is trusting each other?
I think connecting back to the onboarding, we were all nodding. Yeah. And I think that's, depending on project, it's super important. Also these days when as a producer you work kind of creative, you might have been at the broadcaster streamer and then onboarding creators. So I think the most important, trying to make a safe room where you feel, as you said, curiosity instead of fear. Because I can go back to myself. As you said, I think driven by passion and curiosity is much more effective. And then maybe a combination of writing and talking. So everyone can say something, and then hopefully that it's the project in the center of the narrative instead of the person. But I know it's easier to say.
Yeah, because how do you do it? You say, okay, it's onboarding, but walk us through the process.
And also like to say that we're all reminding, I mean, we'll get back to it maybe in the messy truth. But
you can go into the messy right now if you want to.
Yeah, but it's because it's, as you said, sometimes it's easier to focus on the negative. Yeah. And then once you're in there, and then you get the mistrust, and then you need to kind of restart with the from all of it. So I think, as you said, having the mindset that this is for how can we take this, as we talked before, a little bit like if I have a dark story, but I feel this is gonna, people want to see it, but how can we make them watch it? And then take expertise from the all perspective, more of that, I think. And also say that maybe I think sometimes I don't even have answers, so maybe together talk, and I know, you know, a good night's sleep you can get back. It's like I can't really feel the start or whatever. That it is like a work in progress.
We're in it together,
yeah,
but also feel safe that we might all have questions.
Also,
we're still figuring it out.
But also as a producer, I mean, you have the kind of protecting the project, but also understanding the streamer, broadcaster, and so on. So I think we also needed to see it as a creative tool to be kind of both the creators and producers being a bit bold and doing creative solutions and not being too flat or generic in what we do. Move on. Somebody else.
Yeah, no, if anyone wants to.
I think that's also something, I think, and sort of knee-jerk reaction, and what came up a little bit in the clip from, what's it called, the one about the exec. Yeah, the studio, is that your knee-jerk reaction to create psychological safety as a commissioner is to be overly nice, but that doesn't do anybody any favors.
No.
And actually, for me, a more important step in creating psychological security is to remind everybody that we've got the same goal. Like, I want to make your show. You want to make your show. So, like, how do we get there? And then I think it's really important to realize what everyone's strength is in that. Like, what's my strength that you can't do, and what can you do that I can't do? And then we work together on it. But I think that it is like, I think there was a quote from someone from Harvard that said it's not about being nice, and I really, really agree with that. I think that can often lead you off in the wrong direction, because then you're not in the position of psychological safety. You're sort of misleading someone. You're not being kind to them. No. So.
Yeah.
Can I comment
on
it? Of course. I think, and I do not do it myself, so it's a little hard to say in here. I would wish
you're going to have to stop saying that at some point and do it.
And Marike knows it, but to shift focus from judging and into learning. How much did we learn about the project in this phase to be able to make a great content in the end? I wish for all of us that we could shift that focus, because we tend to talk about, is this a great treatment, for instance? And it's not really about creating a great treatment, it's about creating a great show in the end. So how do we train ourselves to focus on that? That is one, and I wish I could do it, but I haven't succeeded yet. I tried for 5 years now, and I hope one day I will succeed. That is one challenge I think we all should be aware of. The other part I think is difficult also in what you're talking about is the self-awareness in the group you're working. The worst thing, or the most difficult, is when people you work with are not aligned with their capabilities. Either they think they're super great and they're not. It's very difficult to create psychological safety in that room, because how do you get there? And it's also very difficult if it's opposite. If they're super great and don't believe in themselves. So I think that is one of the biggest challenges, to create this environment is actually having the right team who knows their own limit and capabilities, because then you can have an honest conversation. If that's not in the room, it's nearly impossible in our creative processes to create psychological safe environment. So that is a massive challenge. And I think we are a little in lack of language about it. We are very good at going out, having a coffee, talking a film to like, but we are not that fast in getting into talk about what is actually our skills and what do I need help from you to be the best of me. That language is very limited in the industry, and that could be a hope for the future to leverage that as well.
Isn't that a bit growth mindset?
Yeah,
what you're describing.
Yeah, but the problem is that all in the group needs to have it. So if there's only one or two who's not having a growth mindset, then you cannot make psychological safety. And it's difficult in project where you get together for a shorter period, so you need to make it work super fast. And that, I think, is the biggest challenge in our industry to actually make it work.
But now you're talking project level and industry level. You've been on this journey, we have been on this journey at Nordisk Film Production for 3.5 years to move the culture to a more transparent, open, I would say feedback-based culture. Tell us a little bit about how you've been doing that.
Oh, they're sitting in. No, not only Marike. I think it's different on an organizational level because it's a much slower moving, getting everyone on board to be able to step into next level than it is on project where you cannot have a writer's room who's not writing anything. You cannot afford it, and none of us can afford to have 1 month talking about how is the group dynamic in this room. It's not going to happen. So it's two very different levels to operate in, but on an organizational level, I think the transparency, the honest feedback, the not having silos, and I'm the one to go first. I ask for feedback all the time. Nobody even really noticed, but I give myself feedback from 4 to 6 every night the first 2 years, which was a little too hard, but just my brain was kind of what to do tomorrow. And in the group, I ask for feedback all the time. How was the meeting the other day? What did you get out of it? Do. All day long, every day, because I cannot move if I don't get everyone on board on the long run. And it takes a lot of questions to do that. So that's what I'm trying to do. Oh, you're going to have the real answer from Marike and the rest of Nordisk Film in the bar later on, but that's what I'm trying to do.
No, but what you're good at, let me give you some feedback. Here we go. and it's strength-based feedback. What you're good at is asking people to lead upwards. Yeah. And so I feel safe to give you feedback as my CEO as well. I'm not afraid. So you're good at creating that, and I think that's really important. Thank you. Zire. I say it the Dutch way. Zire.
Say the right way.
Okay.
I say the wrong way.
Actually, Netflix is known for being best in class when it comes to feedback culture, onboarding, etc. But there are also quite a few myths in the market about the internal feedback culture. So I would love for you to walk us through the method at Netflix.
Yeah. So before starting, that was my thinking as well, that Netflix was a place where you couldn't leave a meeting where you would get direct feedback, and I would be scared all the time. So in that sense, I was a bit disappointed because that's not the case. But feedback is so integrated in our culture, and it's expected that you are candid and honest and curious. So it is the way we work, and it is such a big part of our culture. We have a lot of different things during a year to help us get better at feedback, because feedback is a muscle, and you need to practice that muscle all the time. So we have a lot of things during a year to different sessions, different case studies, we have feedback sessions where we kind of train giving feedback to each other. And just within our smaller teams, in my team, we have on the agenda every week a standing point of, did you get any feedback this week? What are your struggles? Are you
internally or project-based?
Internally.
So to your colleagues.
To your colleagues,
Yeah.
it can be, or it can be you're struggling with something project-based, and you kind of tell your team about it.
And is it everyone in one room giving each other?
No, like you can say if you got feedback,
Okay.
Then you can then tell your team, like I got this feedback, and that's possible because, as you do apparently, Katrine, that the leaders, they ask for feedback all the time, because that helps. It becomes easy. It's always more difficult to give feedback upwards, and that's super important. That the leaders, they set that. They said that security, then feedback becomes super natural if it's something you talk about all the time. Then it becomes easy to tell about your struggles. It becomes easy to give feedback to your leader. It becomes easy to sunshine when something goes wrong, because you can't like have a work life without making mistakes. But it becomes easy to be open about these mistakes because there's set a culture and a framework of security, and this is something we talk about all the time, and we make sure to talk about with each other when things go wrong as well.
Yeah. So
it's very, very integrated in our culture, and there's a big trust within.
And that is on the office, on the office floor, etc. So what about your methods when it comes to projects and giving feedback to creators and producers?
Yeah. So I actually naturally bring a lot of this Netflix culture into giving feedback to projects. I think I'm giving a lot of trust, and I was hired with with the trust that I'm the best to do my job. And when I start a project, we buy into the show that we want to do, and then I trust them to be the best people to deliver the show. I go in with that trust, and I give them that trust. I buy into the vision. I inspire. I make sure to give them context, but I don't control. They are the driving force and the leaders of the creative vision. And it's super important that I go in and be part of that vision, and but always have the long-term goal in mind. That we as a team, I'm part of that team. That's super important. That I'm their collaborator. I'm not a customer. I'm the collaborator, and we are in it together to get the best product out in the end, or the best series out in the end of film. And
I think, yes, please
shoot.
How do you balance that you are in power in that room?
Yeah,
because you are not a team.
Yeah,
you have the power.
Yeah,
even though you don't want to be the smartest person in the room.
No, I'm not the smartest person in the room, and I think it's important that I both make sure that they are the smartest people around their project. I'm not. They are. I have the eyes of Netflix. I have the knowledge of Netflix. I have the experience of the other shows I've been doing, but they are the best people to do what they're supposed to do. And I think that's super important, and I've really tried to voice that as well. And when I am in a room, I open myself up for them to give feedback as well to me. So making sure that they can tell me if I'm saying something wrong, or I'm doing something, or they feel that doesn't work with them. Making sure all the time we are aligned on how do we want to do this? How do we want to move forward? Do you want notes this way? Do we do this way? Do we go that way? Trying to be aligned all the time and open up for them to tell me how they would work best.
Because the other things, of course, when you're Netflix, I guess you often get, well, just tell us what you want and we'll do it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Even though you want that process to be two-way traffic.
Yeah, the problem is if that's the way, they're going to spend a lot of energy trying to figure out what I want instead of actually doing the best show possible. Yeah. So I want to try to put myself in the room and try to be part of that team, even though I'm not. So and have that trust in them that they are the best people to do the job. I'll make sure to kind of steer them along the way. But
you need to make sure to establish that relationship first.
Yeah,
that
establish a relationship and making sure that I buy into their vision and I believe in that vision. Yeah. And we are here to make that vision come to life together. Yeah.
Lucy, do you recognize this as a commissioner? What is your method? And this might be a moment to also go into the messy reality of it.
Okay. Yeah, I guess there's certain touch points there. I think, like, for me, our role is we are part of the team. Like I said, we have the same goal. I really need to make TV shows. So do you guys. Like, we really want to succeed, all of us. So I think if we go in at it like that, and then, like I said, that what I'm going to do is use my perspective, which is that I know what works for us, and to assess the script and describe the problems that are not making it work for us, then I want the creatives to use their strengths and their perspectives that I don't have, which is how to solve it. Sometimes I think it can feel very like we're two different teams, and if we didn't need the creatives, then we could use people in-house. So I think it's really important to remember that as well, apropos psychological security as well, that, like, you know, if we didn't need you, we wouldn't have you in the room. I was saying to you on the phone that, like, statistically, to get into a room with Netflix or TV4 as a writer, you're doing extremely well. So, like, take that.
So well
with
done
you.
already.
Yeah, no, but seriously, like, have a think about it. All of us in this room are pretty privileged in terms of the jobs that we're in. It's not something that you can just do. There's hard competition for it, and you've got to keep performing. So statistically, to be in the room, you've done really well. Now let's keep growing. And in order to keep growing, you need the problems and the growth mindset, and that's what we're trying to get out of you. So that's sort of the way we approach it, really, is to be like, okay, here's our goal. Here are problems that we see on the way. Can you solve them? Your best place to do that. I don't care how you do it, as long as you do it. And I'll try and describe as best as I can why they're a problem for us. And I think where I want feedback is if that description isn't working. But I don't want you to tell me that it's not a problem, because I am best placed to know if it's a problem. So I think that's where feedback works for us, and where also I think it is really key about, like, what people's strengths and specialisms are in the room, but that we are all part of that team. We just have different roles within it.
You spot the problem, and then it's okay for the producers and the creators to solve that in
how they want to.
Their way, how they want.
Yeah, as long as they do solve it.
What I also liked to hear from you in our pre-session is that you prefer face-to-face meetings when you give feedback.
Yeah, I think
you don't want to give notes.
No, I think a big problem as well is, like, this is feedback. Like, I can feel that some of you are getting a bit bored and restless now. Maybe we should up the energy a little bit. But so it's like, how can I just deliver some notes and expect that you're going to take them in the way that I would like you to? And we all know what it's like when you get a text message and you can read a million different things into it. Then you hand that text to writers who are naturally inclined to overthink, which is why we want them to do their job, because we need people who overthink stuff. But it's a recipe for disaster to just send the notes out into oblivion and hope that they land well. I want to sit in a room and see how they land, and then I can recalibrate, and then I can use feedback and say, okay, that's not exactly how I meant it. What's, like, jarring there? How can we reach each other again? So yeah, that's key.
Can I ask you, Anna? Do you ever feel like you're on the same team, truly, with your commissioner?
You're
or
taking
the
my
Film
question.
Institute? Yes, just because I think they're bullshitting us. I'm so sorry.
I was just saying, oh, I'm really looking forward now to work with these on my next project. I feel I'm really aligned now.
But yeah, I mean, what are the learnings that you have from when feedback went wrong during these producer commissioner?
No, but I think it's when you talk about, because obviously I'm in the middle of the heating, feeling pressure, time, and so on. And I think I'm pretty good at thinking we're on the same team, but then it's easy that it gets, okay, but who's the clarity and who owns what and what's everybody's role. But then if like a commissioner says, this is right, this is a problem, and then solve it, obviously, that can go in many colors, so to say.
How can we do better as an industry in these conversations? How would it...
exactly. No, you took my word. Conversations. I honestly, not right or wrong, or I mean, obviously, if somebody says something, then might be another solution than we talked about. But with conversations, and maybe sometimes when I'm as a producer get 10 pages feedback, it can be like, to kind of do the analyze and timing, and obviously if you see it as feedback, everything should be fine to just deliver to the creative team. But I think maybe, do more conversations, a few notes, and then we talk.
Yeah.
And also why. I picked up that because I think understanding why from different perspectives, then we could dip in so we keep the same vision with all our different talents. So was that an answer? Yes.
Yeah, it was. It also taps into what several of you mentioned, that it is not easy to give constructive feedback when there's power imbalances and egos. I mean, now we've learned that these egos might just be scared, right? But still...
But so are all of us. We take a massive risk either as commissioners or as the one who's doing the show. That's the problem about our industry. It's so costful and there's so much at stake for everyone, and that's also why it's difficult. But I do still think you are absolutely bullshitting saying you're on the team. You are in the creative process. We can be in the same team for a certain period of time, but then you are the commissioner and we are the production company, and we have different things at stake. And I think you're absolutely aware of it as well, but it's just a mindset. We will never be a team. We can be it for... No, but I talk with the rest of the industry. No, I have not. No, but I had the same, and it's just because one of my learnings is I kind of came in the door at Nordisk. We everyone the same, and some of the kind of, no, you're the boss, and will you please be it? Because I need a boss. So shut up and be my boss. And it's a little bit the same thing. We need a commissioner. Because you know your channels, you know your audience, so it's not said in a bad way. It's just not, let's not fool ourselves as an industry that we are one big warm family who, no. We can solve problems together, but we have different roles. And the more we are clear about it, the easier we can actually work together. So, sorry.
Yeah.
I had a stage so I could say it here. No.
Say what you want.
Okay, but it's a case of definition there, really. I think we have the same goal. We're working towards the same thing. Absolutely, we're paying for something. We are in the sort of client role, and so then it is important that when we say there's something wrong, that's with the ones who have the mandate to describe the goal. But I think it is really important, that thing of like, understanding. We do really want to make really good TV shows, and we have chosen you to be in the room, and we believe in you for your role. And I think when everybody has that really clear goal and a really clear idea of what their job is, the ego goes. Because also the notes then become focused on a goal. That's something that we also want really strategic notes. So we don't send pages and pages. We really strongly are against that. And we try each step to have a strategy so that people don't just feel that it's coming from our personal opinions on stuff. It's towards something bigger. I'll give you that nuance.
And to give you a little, we're allowed to go on a little bit longer. So that ticking clock, don't be too stressed about it. We had some technical difficulties in the beginning, so we'll go on for a few more minutes. Because
can I just say something?
Yeah.
So a lot of +1 to what Lucy said, but I do wanna keep the fact that for us, I'm aware I'm not the one in the room solving the problems. I'm very aware of that. But we work very much as a collaborator and not as a customer. And that's integrated in all functions throughout Netflix. I am very aware of my position in the room, but I'm also very aware that I place myself in the room as a resource in a sense for them. I am a resource with the knowledge and the expertise on my area, and they have the expertise in their area. And as Lucy said, it's important we work towards a common goal. But I'm very much aware that I go into a room and deliver notes that I won't the next day be sitting solving. But despite that, collaboration is a big part of how we work. And I'm excited when we get to work together so I can show you how we work.
I'm actually going to open floor for questions very soon because I feel like this is about feedback, so we might as well incorporate the audience in here. So you think about your questions right now. And then I have a big question for you guys. Everybody is scared at the moment, right? We're in a very insecure, difficult, complex, changing market. Everyone's risk averse, and we're basically afraid to lose our jobs, right? At markets nowadays, the first question is, so what's your plan B if you have to leave this industry? How do you make sure that we keep feeling safe, feeling trusted, that we can actually keep doing this? Anyone?
You just have to keep growing.
Yeah.
You do have to see it actually as an exciting time and not a scary thing.
Yeah.
Like some of the best films and series have come out of difficult times.
So true.
And I think we've had it quite relatively comfortable. And so we have to sort of remind ourselves of that think creatively and find creative solutions for it. And it could be really exciting.
Innovation comes out of chaos. Absolutely. Katrine?
I think actually the crisis is helping us a little bit because we urge to share more, and which is feedback as well. So I think we need to stick a little bit more together, and that's helpful in actually cooperating, which is the starting point for knowledge sharing and growth as well. So when the world is scared, we need double trust, which can be super tough, but I don't see it anywhere. We cannot move forward anywhere else.
Anna?
Then we need double love from commissioners and broadcasters.
Double trust and double love.
So we don't make the projects too safe, I think.
Yeah.
So we can keep on doing creative, magnificent films and series.
Does anyone have a question for the audience? Over there.
Hello, Christian Aurora here from Mixing Media.
Hi,
what
Christian.
Do you think? Hello. What do you think high-end drama can learn from the online world, where getting feedback from the audience is part of what people who put their content online? That's how they make their content better or different.
We have a really interesting panel on that tomorrow at around this time here in this room. Just saying, rethinking the audience. But what about your answers?
I think it's great. It's theatre, isn't it? So, like, when everybody asks all the time about like the golden age of British TV and Phoebe Waller-Bridge and what was the one about the stalker, Baby Reindeer, and all of those shows, and they came from the theatre. They had the same kind of feedback. They just had it live and not in chat form, but it's the same thing essentially, I think. So it's great. We need more of it. Less writers just sitting in rooms on their own. Like we're writing for huge, particularly in Netflix's case, huge publics. So how can we get access to that kind of feedback earlier, that broad feedback?
I think it's a possibility as well to figuring out. The time I've been in the industry has been about how can we get more money so we can do the kind of story we like to tell in the way we like to tell it. But I think they have sneaked in a question about what's good enough for the audience. And that might help us as an industry to figuring out how to make storytelling in the world to come if we don't have more resources than we have now. So for me, it's an option.
See that you have, we think that you have all the data from the audience already.
I wish.
You wish.
Well, sorry. Well, we don't. And for us, data is not something we use to make decisions.
No.
It can support decisions, but creativity makes decisions.
Right.
But I think it's super important, as you say, kind of. I think there's a mix of wanting to tell the story we want to, the creators want to tell, but having an audience in mind. So making sure that they tell the story for an audience and not just for themselves.
Yeah. I saw another question over there, I think, somewhere.
Hi. So I haven't really thought of how I should say this, but since everything is changing really fast and it's the consumers want to see fast films and forward films that Netflix has. You can have it on the speed, like 2 times the speed. And also talking about the plot a lot in the film because people are watching their phones during they're seeing the show. I think it's important to preserve the way of making films and not only do what the younger audience wants to see, because I think we'll lose the creativity and the craftsmanship of making a film if we just
Oh, I got it. Yeah.
Yeah, if we just.
And again,
I don't like the things that are happening now with film. I don't appreciate it. I just wonder how you see it. And
you're also commenting on Matt Damon's podcast, right?
No, I haven't heard that, actually.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
But I'm just curious how you preserve it and if you want to follow that line with making fast films or if you want to slow it down.
I'm going to say also something that we're discussing here tomorrow during Rethinking the Audience, so please come back. But maybe, Zire, you want to quickly answer that?
Well, I can't come into to a process I wasn't part of.
No, of course not.
So in that sense, from my experience, that's not something we focus on.
And I think it's also what you said already when you say we don't. It's not the data that absolutely
exactly
dictates the content.
Just again, we buy into a creative vision. We buy into a creative vision and some creators that we believe will fit for our platform or for a service. So it's super important for us that everything is carried by creatives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Katrine.
Yeah, I think if we really mean we as a storyteller has something to offer the world, and I do really believe we have that in times being, because who else to understand the world we live in than storytellers and give that to the audience? If we then put in limits saying we only want to do it in a certain way, like the old school film way, or do it as opera, or do it as modern dance, then we will lose the capability to tell it to a certain amount of people. So I think it's not either we do only this kind of storytelling or we do the other. I think we should keep on focusing on that our storytelling is important, and some of the audience do want it on second screen. They do want it in different ways, and if we want to reach them, then we have to adapt. It doesn't mean that we shut down the rest, so now it doesn't exist more. So it's an add-on to reach an audience we want to reach because we have something important to say.
Yeah. I think we're running out of time now. So this is my closing question is going to be, again, connecting it to Kea. So you asked us to tell our neighbor what we were going to implement. I'm going to ask you to make it public now. And I'll start with myself, and it comes back to what I said earlier. I am going to give myself more honest feedback every day and have that conversation with myself like you did. Anna.
Okay, so I adapt, I align to that and add, less notes, more conversations, I think. I'm adding that. And also want to add that on that question. And I think it also has to do about what kind of stories we want to tell and what kind of producers we are. If you are engaged in the story and get emotion or feel touched by a character, then it'll solve itself and not be so.
That's hopeful, right? Lucy, what are you going to implement? And next year we'll come back here, and then we're all going to keep each other accountable. Yeah,
keep each other honest.
Yeah, yeah.
I think there's a lot more room to look at like psychological security, but like like I said, I think it's easy to take that on face value. I think there's different things that we can still explore in terms of like how do we keep the room open so that people want to listen to what we have to say.
That's good. Katrine?
I think when I do self-evaluate quite a lot, but it often my process would be that I'm super angry for an hour or sometimes 24 hours before I get into kind of the mode of what could I have done differently when people don't behave as I want them to. So I would like to get rid of the anger part and just go into how can I do it differently to make the progress I want to do.
Great.
Great for you. Yes, sometimes I have anger management towards other people, so it would be Marike.
Zire, last but not least.
Things are really coming out here. A lot of +1. I have a tendency when I evaluate or give feedback to myself, it's very negative feedback. So I want to try to turn that around and maybe give feedback on my strengths as well. And
lift yourself up.
And lift myself up instead of hitting myself on the head. And then I think the whole part about onboarding was super interesting. And I think especially a part coming from Netflix and having that very integrated Netflix culture. When you start at Netflix, there's an extensive onboarding of kind of going into this culture and getting it under your skin. So I think it's super important when starting a new project that I create some sort of onboarding into how Netflix works, basically, and how we work and how we want to collaborate. And so I think that can be a good way of, making sure you feel
you're
like
allowed,
I'm a collaborator.
To test on me.
So 2 things that you're going to implement.
A lot of work ahead.
No pressure. Thank you all so much for being so honest with your experience and being so open. Give our panel a hand. Zire, Katrine, Lucy, Anna.